Well, no sooner had I finished the video, I thought of a story that really I should have told. So I'm not going to refilm it, but I am going to tell the story because I think if people are looking down on you, Ian would be glad that this one was remembered. So here goes. It was in the glorious Peru days of the kite flyers. The kite flyers was an expat institution, of a sort of football team full of ne'er-do-wells and semi-professionals and everything in between. And we'd play games each year. Kite flyers, where did that name come from? Well, that's another story. I've told it before, but I'll tell it again. If you think about how you fly a kite, you have to let out the string. And strangely enough, the word for flying a kite, slang, in Peruvian Spanish, is the slang for another activity. And as one of the founders, Budgie Reetham, put it when I met him once, it wouldn't have done to call the team the Wankers. So kite flyers it was. And Ian wasn't a football player. He was a Canadian, but not really. Perhaps he was a big bloke. Perhaps he played Canadian-style football in his youth. But footballers, as I know it, no. But he was part of the kite flyers because, of course, he would be. He was a bon vivant. He was a raconteur. He liked to drink, eat, and be merry in some sort of order. So, needless to say, when we went on one of our annual tours to the jungle, and he loved the jungle, Ian came along. And on this occasion, the kite flyers had gone to our school's jungle lodge. It was virgin rainforest, wonderful place, Tambo Pata. And we'd all arrived at the lodge, and everyone was ready for a nature walk down the trail into the forest. And of course, Ian wasn't having any of that. He'd been to the jungle before. He said, "Neil, look, everyone's going on this walk, but that's not for me. Keep me company." So I said, "Okay, fair enough." So we then got on to really what he wanted to do, which was he said, look, he had sort of pint mugs, and he filled it up with ice, rum, Coke, and some lime. So a good old Cuba Libre, but not in a discreet sort of cocktail glass. No, as I say, in a pint mug. And we walked maybe 100 yards up the trail. Everyone else went past quietly, stealthily, ready to see the wild animals. And we stayed behind, just chatting and looking at it. He said, we are going to see some nature. Look at this tree. And there was a spot very near to the lodge with a most extraordinary tree. So we stood there and paid due reverence to the tree and sipped at our rum and cokes. And then something amazing happened. We were quiet, sort of settled down, sort of drifting off into our own thoughts. And a tree snake that we hadn't seen, it was quite big, maybe a metre, sort of quietly projected himself or herself between us, into the space between us. It was sort of maybe 30, 40 centimetres into the air, just sniffing around, sensing the chemicals as snakes do. And we just quietly carried on drinking our drink. We stopped talking, we looked at the snake. And eventually everyone else came blundering back down the trail, the animal lovers who'd gone off with a biologist. And course, as soon as they started bashing their way through the forest nearby, the snake quickly left us the moment the magic ended. And it turned out that we hadn't gone on a trail walk, they had, but we had seen a remarkable snake and they hadn't. And Ian and I thought, well, that served them right. That's as it should be. You'd come to the jungle, but you needed to be true to yourself. And for us, that involved a sort of generous portion of rum and coke. So to me, that was a quintessential Ian Murrant story. It's a sort of postscript to the video I've just made. If you didn't see that, give it a watch. But otherwise, here's to you, Ian. Perhaps I'll have a rum and coke this evening. Otherwise, cheers.